So, what's a heart? I'm hungry. I want to live. Desire. Oh, do forgive me, maiden, my dearest, in the fire I doze. How tall the fire, the forest, how replete. I weep. What's father thinking? I eat and weep. I eat. These verses, written some 65 years ago by a 20-year-old, have long entered the consciousness of Romanians as few other poems have. Some poems by Eminescu, Arghezi, Nichita Stanescu, Adrian Paunescu or Radu Gyr would also be in this category. Or if we were to cross into the musical field, the Ballad by Ciprian Porumbescu. That is, if you recite these verses, people will immediately be able to tell you both the poem and the author. Today, in the 13th session of our journey through Romanian poetry in English, we will take a look at Nicolae Labis, who died just after turning 21 years of age, and hear a couple of his most beautiful and significant poems. Significant not just for the poet himself, but for the whole history of Romanian literature. Many countries have their genius poets who died young. I'm thinking of the French having Rimbaud, the Welsh Dylan Thomas, the Slovenians Srečko Košovel, the Russians Sergei Yesenin, the Austrians Georg Trankl. If we are to mention influences on the lyric of Nicolae Labis, then perhaps Rimbaud, along with Eminescu and Arghezi, would be the most noticeable. But Labiș has decidedly his own poetic voice, and also distinctively a grave sense of responsibility, like no one else, as we shall see later. December 1935 to December 1956, labeled the scepter of a generation by literary critic Eugen Simion. A wonder kid of Romanian poetry, a pure poetic voice, says Nicolae Emanuelescu. A nonconformist of incredible talent and authenticity, writes Alex Ștefănescu. Labiș blazed like a blinding meteorite. Nichita Stanescu, though 2 years older than Nicolae Labis, declared that Labiș was by far the uncontested, energetic and extremely intelligent leader of his generation of young poets until his untimely tragic death. He happened to start writing in an era, the 1950s, when Romania was beset by a Stalinist government, and the poetry allowed to be published was realist socialist in nature. Poets praised the relentless modernization of the country and all the other achievements of the Marxist-Leninist regime. And while other poets, most of them a lot more experienced than Labiș, did this as a chore, formulaically and maybe trying a bit too hard, Labiș did this with both great talent and with enthusiasm, with authenticity. He had the exceptional capacity of taking up a cause. Alex Ștefănescu describes this as follows. It was as if a squadron of soldiers would march on the road. Then Nicolae Labis would join the march, and immediately he would take over, making the rhythm a lot more energetic. Everyone would pay attention and follow him. He was a natural leader. Labiș could take up a mundane theme of realist socialism, like the recycling of iron scraps or technical progresses achieved in agriculture, and make them into great poetry. However, as Petre Angel puts it, Labiș, I quote, is always authentic, always true to himself, could not stray far from the horror of the real. Labiș is interested in extremes, radical feelings. What he could see appear to him cruel or godly. End of quote. The communist doctrine espoused by the young, extremely talented and impetuous Nicolae Labis was a fictitious one, an idealized state in which his great poetic energy and talent could find release. Though very young, being of brilliant intellect, he soon realized this and started criticizing the regime in private conversations or even in groups of friends. The Securitate, the communist secret police, opened a dossier against him. His death following a traffic accident at the age of just 21 remains suspicious, according to Alex Stefanescu. He went to drink with some friends, may have been inebriated, and fell under a tram late one evening in Bucharest. On his hospital bed, with a broken spine, he dictated a sibylline, mysteriously prophetic poem to a close friend. The bird with a ruby beak, it took revenge. Look, it took revenge. It crushed me, the bird with a ruby beak. And tomorrow, the chicks of the bird with a ruby beak, rummaging through the dirt, might find perhaps traces of the poet Nicolae Labis, who will remain just a beautiful memory. He died the following night. His disappearance so young was a shock to the country, but perhaps a relief for the authorities. His secret dossier contained accusations of defaming the communist regime. Summary court cases against opponents of the regime were common at the time, followed by years of hard labor. However, it would have been inconvenient to do this to a very popular and well-known young man, a de facto leader of his peers. Labiș did not just write realist socialist poetry, and his voice is a masterful one, whatever the theme he decided to approach. One of the poems I shall recite to you, Dance, is such one, a gripping, heart-wrenchingly beautiful poem of, paradoxically, escaping responsibility. I say paradoxically because, as I said, Labiș was a stickler for responsibility. And this demonstrates that Labiș is a total poet, able to imagine and describe states of the soul entirely unfamiliar with his experience. The second poem I will recite is his famous The Death of a Deer, from which I already recited the last stanza at the beginning. It could be construed as having a realist socialist starting point. The theme is, on the surface at least, tenacity, a popular theme in the construction of socialism at the time. But in Labiș's masterful hand, things are never that simple. For he takes us on a murky moral path where you don't quite know what doing the right thing really means, where the father seems in control and protective, but it is the young boy, the poem is written from his perspective, who is the one who grasps the impossible complexity of the situation and grieves for its implacable denouement. I recall with great emotion the privilege I had when, at the launch of my first volume back in 2012, university professor Magda Labiș, the sister of the poet, then aged 80, of whom the poem makes a direct reference, please pay attention to it, beautifully recited from memory this masterpiece. I believe that if Labiș would have lived a few more years, people would have mentioned him in the same breath with Eminescu, Arghezi, Nichita Stanescu, Nina Casian. He didn't. He died at 21. I hope you will enjoy and appreciate this amazing poetic voice gone too early. As usual, the English version of the poems will be recited first, followed by the Romanian. Dance. Autumn draws my soul in plumes of smoke and blue. In my soul the autumn swarms with leafy bowers. Sad, the dance of autumn, we will dance anew. Grim inebriation, softly rocking hours. Bleeding is the fiddle black against the mirror. Thoughts are dead. The will is yielding in atonement without trace or whisper. Only bring me nearer arms of empty cosmos for a passing moment. Round my eyes are circles, but your eyes are pure. With so much despairing our steps are rushing, like the wind that's tearing leaves from woods obscure, like a wind that's tearing doors from hinges crushing. By tomorrow morning strangers will become. Silently you'll weep and gaze tomorrow morning, seeing how through scraggy gardens, empty, numb, withered plumes of fog are sounding baleful warnings. You will sit all silent, as I did sometimes when I wept through autumns for my love's unweaving. And you'll hear the whistle of the wind that chimes, urging on the clouds for the horizon's leaving. While I'll pass beneath the rusty chestnut trees, stony lips, pale figure, stealing on the trail, rhythmic steps extinguished in the foggy breeze, screechy sand remorseful, cowardly to wail. The death of a deer. The drought killed every breeze and its fever won't yield. Sun rays melted on high and have leaked on the field. All that's left is the sky, empty, hot and forlorn. Buckets draw filthy mud from the fountains which mourn. With increasing aplomb from the forests below, fires dance wild and devilish slow dances of woe. I follow my father up the old bushy hills. The pine trees are scratching me, evil and grime. We have started together on the hunting of deer. In this hunt, born of famine, the Carpathians we climb. Thirst is crumbling me. On a hot stone flows boiling the thinnest of threads creeping down from the well. My head hangs in gloom on my shoulder. I'm toiling as if on a planet dark, vast, strange to tell. We wait in a place where the waters still sigh. Rare spring waves are strumming on their thin silvery strings. When the sun will have set, when the moons in the sky in a row They will come on their path from afar, the deer, one by one, for a drink where death stings. I tell Father I'm thirsty. He waves me to be quiet. Oh, dazzling magic water, how limpid is your sway. I feel I'm bound through thirst to the creature which will die when law and custom we shall throw away. What whittled rustle does the valley breathe? What dreadful evening lingers upon the universe? Blood spills on the horizon, my breast is red, as if I wiped my bloody hands on it, a crimson curse. Ablaze with violet flames on pyres, ferns burn like hay, and all the stars, bedazzled, twinkle through them and shine. How much I wished you'd stay away, beautiful offspring of these woods of mine. And vaulting she appeared, and then she stopped, gazing around as if beset by fright. Thin nostrils, faintly poised and quivering on water, drew copper circles in the fading light. Her eyes were shining moist, perplexing, unexplained. I knew she'd die, she'd hurt, she'd shed a tear. In me it seemed a frightening myth remained about the girl who changed into a deer. From up on high, the pale and lunar light on her warm fur was sifting a wilting cherry flower. Oh, how I wished for just one time, one night, my father's gunshot hit astray that hour. Instead, the valley roared. Down, fallen on her knees, her head was tilting upward toward a gloomy star. And then it fell, arising from the water elusive swarms of beads, black from afar. A strange blue bird heaved off between the branches. My dear's life too, for late horizons meant, was flying smoothly like some autumn bird absconding from her nest, forgotten, spent. Under a spell, I went and closed her eyes, those shady eyes beneath her horns, so sad. Startled, I jumped all pale and numb when Father screamed full of joy, "We now have meat, my lad." I tell Father I'm thirsty. He waves me for a drink. Oh, dazzling magic water, how gloomy is your sway. I feel I'm bound through thirst to the creature which died, as law and custom we have thrown away. But law is all in vain and has no place when our lives are hardly keeping pace. Custom and mercy are but soulless, barren, as hungry lies my sister, sick, dying in the warren. From its left nostril father's gun spits smoke, and windless do the leaves run from the oak. A frightening fire does my father rise. Oh, how the forest changed, there's no disguise. From earthly grass I cup my hands around a little bell with silver starry sound, as from the grill grabs father with his nails the deer's red heart and all of its entrails. So, what's a heart? I'm hungry. I want to live. Desire. Oh, do forgive me, maiden, my dearest, in the fire I doze. How tall the fire, the forest, how replete. I weep. What's father thinking? I eat and weep. I eat. Dans. Toamna îmi înneacă sufletul în fum. Toamna îmi poartă în suflet roiuri de frunzare. Dansul trist al toamnei îl dansăm acum. Tragică beție, moale legănare. Sângeră vioara neagră între oglinzi, gândurile-s moarte, vrerile supuse fără nicio șoaptă, numai să-mi întinzi brațele de aer ale clipei duse. Ochii mei au cearcă-n, ochii tăi spuri. Câtă desnădejde pașii noștri mâna, ca un vânt ce smulge frunza din păduri, ca un vânt ce învârte ușa din țâțână. Mâine dimineață o să fim străini. Vei privi tăcută mâine dimineață cum prin descărnate tufe în grădini se rotesc fuioare veștede de ceață. Și ai să stai tăcută cum am stat și eu când mi-am plâns iubirea destrămată în toamnă. Și ai să asculți cum cornul vântului mereu nourii pe ceruri către zări îndeamnă. Pe când eu voi trece sub castani roșcați cum pietrite buze palid pe cărare și or să mi se stingă pașii cadențați în nisip scrâșnită, lașă remușcare. Moartea căprioarei. Seceta a ucis orice boare de vânt, soarele s-a topit și a curs pe pământ, a rămas cerul fierbinte și gol. Ciuturile scot din fântână nămol. Peste păduri tot mai des focuri, focuri, dansează sălbatice, satanice jocuri. Mă iau după tata la deal prin tărișuri și brazii mă zgârie rari și uscați. Pornim amândoi vânătoarea de capre, vânătoarea foametei în munții Carpați. Setea mă năruie Fierbe pe piatră firul de apă prelins din cișmea. Tâmpla apasă pe umăr, pășesc ca pe o altă planetă imensă, străină și grea. Așteptăm într-un loc unde încă mai sună din strunele undelor line izvoarele. Când va scăpăta soarele, când va licări luna, aici vor veni în șirang să se adape una câte una căprioarele. Spun tati că mi sete și îmi face semn să tac. Amețitoare apă ce limpede te clatini. Mă simt legat prin sete de vietatea care va muri la ceas oprit de lege și de datini. Ce foșnet veștejit răsuflă valea, ce îngrozitoare înserare plutește în univers. Pe zare curge sânge și pieptul mi roșu de parcă mâinile pline de sânge pe piept mi le-am șters. Ca pe un altar ard ferici cu flăcări vineții și stelele uimite clipiră printre ele. Vai, cum aș vrea să nu mai vii, să nu mai vii, frumoasă jertfă a pădurii mele. Ea se arătă săltând și se opri, privind în jur cu un fel de teamă, și nările-i subțiri înfiorară apa cu cercuri lunecoase de aramă. Sticlea în ochii iumezi ceva nelămurit. Știam că va muri și că o să doară. Mi se părea că rătrăiesc un mit cu fata prefăcută în căprioară. De sus, lumina palidă, lunară, cernea pe blana-i caldă flori stinse de cireș. Vai, cum doream ca pentru întâia oară bătaia puștii tati să dea greș. Dar văile vuiră. Căzută în genunchi, își ridicase capul, îl clătină spre stele, îl prăvăli apoi stârnând pe apă fugare roiuri negre de mărgele. O pasăre albastră zvâgnise printre ramuri și viața căprioarei spre zările târzii zburase lin cu țipăt ca păsările toamna când lasă cuiburi, sure și pustii.